Okay, so roughly 1 in 4 deaths is attributed to heart disease. So that means that if 4 people, one of those people who dies has some underlying condition of heart disease or something nearing it. And a bad diet is one of the leading factors of heart disease. So there's basically an indirect correlation between a bad diet and death. So today I urge you guys to listen because very few people actually follow a healthy diet, and it's basically the leading factor and essential in preventing a lot of diseases if you're younger, and then if you're older, it can eliminate and help cure a lot of stuff that you may be going through after a lifetime of unhealthy eating. So today I'm just going to talk about a few diseases and then a few ways we can kind of combat that through diet. Excuse me. So first thing I want to talk about is processed meat and processed foods in general. Processed meat is labeled as a group 1 carcinogen according to the World Health Organization and the World Cancer Research Fund, which is basically on par with cigarettes. And anything in this group has a direct link to cancers, as multiple studies are showing. So some of these cancers are prostate, pancreatic. There's a ton more that I couldn't fit in here, and then the overall cancer mortality rate. So if you're eating a lifetime of processed foods, the chances that you die from the cancer that you're most likely going to get is heightened on a processed food diet. So processed meats and foods in general cause a lot of things like heart disease, like I said before, the leading killer in America, various cancers, and then obesity, which according to the World Health Organization, about 39% of Americans are obese, and obesity is the leading factor of premature and preventable deaths. So a lot of those people who died might have pulled through if they had not been obese from a lifetime of eating junk food like processed foods and then processed meats. So the reason why a lot of people tend to eat these processed foods is because they're very inexpensive and easily accessible. You go anywhere, your local 7-Eleven, the grocery store, the gas station, there's really going to be a ton of processed food options for you, including processed meats, without having nearly as many options of like organic foods or whole food, plant-based options, stuff like that, but mainly whole foods. And then out of that, 3% of meat that we as Americans do buy is from a natural or specialty store. So like from your locally grown farm or from somewhere like Whole Foods, which is a specialty store because they do specialize in organic products. So if you are going to eat meat, the meat that you get from there or that farm is going to be a lot cleaner and healthier for you than the meat you get at your Walmart or your local ShopRite and stuff like that. So for most Americans are low income or live basically paycheck to paycheck. So them looking to spend extra money on their food, they're really not thinking about it at all in the long term. Definitely not in the long term, but in the short term, they're just thinking how to save $1 instead of spend that $1 to try to prevent something down the road, like a disease. So most Americans do turn to the unhealthy options because, like I said, they're thinking more in terms of their money as opposed to their health, and they're not really putting a lot of emphasis on their health at all. So, like I said, it is going to be a little more expensive. According to like Harvard Health Publishing and their Science journal, they did a study and found that it did cost about $1.50 more per day for a healthy diet as opposed to your unhealthy diet.
That's not much.
But as long as you're budgeting effectively and limiting unnecessary wasting, you're going to be able to find that extra $1 a day, and you're going to save a lot down the road in hospital visits, right? So, according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, small-scale sustainable farming is instrumental in helping to combat hunger and poverty, right? So not only are you going to be offering people healthier food options here in America, but you're going to be fighting an underlying problem that we face as a species, which is going to be hunger and poverty. To a lot of people that can't even find their next meal, which is a pretty scary thought. And then the Science Journal of Alimenta says that we need sustainable farming in America to help combat the growing rate of disease that we're facing, to make it so that these farms are accessible to everybody who don't have to drive 40 minutes to their Walmart to get all their groceries in one haul. They can kind of go pick and choose what they want from a local farm that may be grown nearby. And multiple studies have shown that higher income areas tend to have more grocery stores, up to 2 times as many. So another study showed that better access to those foods actually showed better dieting in those people. So they were able to pick and choose what they want, and because of the higher income in a lot of circumstances, they tend to choose the healthier options because they were thinking about their health. So that better access definitely means better eating. So for us today, if we were going to start thinking about a whole food diet, maybe a whole food plant-based diet, it's probably best and easiest if you just cut one thing out a day. Maybe you're going to cut out a dairy product tonight and then a meat product tomorrow. Then a year or 2 down the line, you're going to find that you're really only eating these healthier foods. You're going to feel better. In the long term, you're going to save a lot of money on hospital visits and stuff like that. But it's really all about just starting by choosing one thing, trying to find a supplement for it that is a whole food, maybe plant-based, an organic option that, although it may be a little bit more expensive, you're going to feel better, look better, and you're going to have a much better peace of mind knowing that you're eating something that is considered whole food and good for your health. So a lot of people have problems with stuff like this, and like I said before, a lot of it's the money concern. They think that they're going to be spending that much more money, and when you look at $1.50 a day, I'm sure if you budgeted effectively, you'd be able to find that $1.50, especially knowing that you're preventing a lot down the road. Like I said before, hospital bills, hospital visits, cancer treatment, all the tough stuff like that we don't think about now, but after a lifetime of eating these processed foods, it's basically inevitable, especially today with the growing rates of disease. And then finally, the hardest thing to do is looking for these locally grown options. Most people, if you're in the high-income neighborhood, you might have a farmer's market nearby. You're going to have the tendency to have a lot of local farms is a lot higher than in the lower-income areas. But if you do your research, you're budgeting, and you're reaching out to your friends and family, I'm sure someone is going to be able to provide you with a spot to go to get your local, fruits and vegetables that are going to be a lot cleaner and healthier. And then, if all goes well, you might be able to find a little farm that may provide you some chicken that's local, organic, free range, and stuff like that. It's going to go pay a lot of dividends to find those, and invest a little bit into that to help you maintain your better health. So in closing, I just want to say that unhealthy diets are basically a leading cause of death in America, and processed meats and processed foods in general are basically the leading factor to that because of how much we consume them and how accessible they are to us. So the best thing for you to do today is to find the substitutes, start to adopt the whole food diet, and in the long run, that's going to pay off for you. And then finally, the cost, just budget effectively, try to find that extra $1.50 per day, limit your unnecessary spending, and try to realize that your health is all we really have. It's your top priority. You don't have money if you don't have health. So that's probably the most important thing. And then again, do your research, try to find local farms, reach out to them, and see if they can help you find more fresh, more organic, local food. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Excellent. Very informative.
Very good.
Very informative.
Very smart.
So there is a correlation between the amount of grocery stores and the income in the community?
Yes.
Do you think the government has anything to do with that?
I don't know. I think that it's like, why would Whole Food... right, yes.